Like he wants everybody's opinion. Is there anyone on the planet that can help me get back on the field quicker? And so when the prescription was you just have to rest and not do anything, he sought out other opinions. Yeah, he went and said, "Look, who else has anything going on anywhere in the world that can help me get back on the field quicker?"
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Wisdom Wednesday presented, of course, by DraftKings. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams, 7 years. Those of you watching on DK Network or youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL, you can obviously see the helmets, the game balls. Boy, we got a guest today that has a lot of helmets and a lot of game balls. Ed McCaffrey, 3-time Super Bowl champ and 3-time father of NFL players, 2 of whom are current right now. And like me, he's a mustard man, a mustard connoisseur, which I love. Remember to rate and review the show. Follow us on social media at Ross Tucker NFL, at Ross Tucker Pod. We'll get to Ed. We'll get to some of the news because there's a decent amount of news to get to. Davante Adams and suspensions and Jason Peters back in the NFL, which is all just wild. Ed is presented by Labatt Blue Light because they do have it in Colorado. I might have some Thursday and Friday when I'm out there for Air Force and Navy. Drink Labatt Blue Lights with friends. Live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
All right, so before we talk mustard, because a lot of you know mustard is very important to me, and my supplier, I finally got my supplier back on the line, Ed McCaffrey, with his Rocky Mountain mustard. We'll get to that in a second. And before I even ask Ed about Christian's injury, and Ed gives me some BS answer, whatever he tells me, I want to start with Luke, Ed.
Yeah.
Because you and I haven't talked about this. I am so happy for him and proud of him with what he overcame to get drafted. He's in the NFL. He's on a good team. I mean, I don't know how many people really know his path. And I guess I know it because you and I are friends. And I guess I kind of kicked it off on some level. I don't know if that was good or bad, but I helped start it, at least his college career. So for the people that don't know, your son, Luke McCaffrey, drafted by the Commanders. He's playing with Jaden Daniels, all that stuff, playing receiver. But just go through his circuit. Oh my gosh, I can't even say it. Circuitous route to get there.
I thought you were going to say charcuterie. Or charcuterie, as they'd say in New York. And then we can start talking about the mustard. But yeah, Luke, we've been friends a long time, Ross. We go way back, worked together. And you were very helpful navigating the college scene when he was coming out of high school and getting ready to play at the next level. So you've kind of followed his career, which is kind of cool. It's kind of cool. You know, you've known him since high school, and now he's playing for the Commanders. He's having a great time. He worked really hard at it. You know, he was a quarterback his whole life, as you know, and had a lot of success early on. And he was battling, right? Battling as a starter, backup. And finally, he went to his coach Bloomgren at Rice and said, "Hey, look, I just want to be on the field. I don't care where you put me. Put me at safety, put me at receiver, running back. I'm competitive and I can't stand holding the clipboard on the sideline and I just want to play." And so they moved him to receiver. And I was glad it was his decision because at first, you know, as a dad, I'm thinking, oh, wow, did they force you to change positions? He's like, no, that was my idea. You know, I just want to play. And so he spent about a year and a half playing the receiver position before he was drafted in the 3rd round by the Commanders. And we were really excited that he got drafted, and it's really cool that he gets to be part of a team with Dan Quinn and now offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury and a lot of young players, a 1st-round draft pick quarterback in Jaden Daniels that is playing lights out right now. And he gets to be part of this building program in Washington, which as of the last 2 weeks seems like it's coming together a little faster than maybe what we thought. They're really looking good out there. He loves his teammates, loves his coaches. The fan base has been ignited. The Washington fan base is loving football again and getting really involved and going to the games and cheering. I think that big Monday night over Cincinnati was a statement, and then the last week's win, just got everyone even more excited. So he's learning. He's got great receivers like Terry McLaurin on the team who he can learn from, and he's competing and he's having some fun right now. Hopefully they can keep it going.
It is so awesome. And for people, just to give the brief background, Luke went to Nebraska as a highly recruited quarterback. Then he transferred to Louisville, as a quarterback, then he transferred to Rice. And I had never even heard that story, that it was his idea to move to receiver. Had you ever, Ed, just because your background is a longtime NFL receiver, I think most of the listeners know that, a couple times Super Bowl champ, 3 times Super Bowl champ, a couple different teams. Had you ever mentioned that to him? Had you ever said, hey, man, because we know he could run, like, have you thought about playing receiver, or did you not say a word?
Well, 3 of my 4 sons started out at quarterback, and I guess the thought process was, one, when you're little, you want someone who knows the offense, is in control of the game, and when you're younger, like in Little League, it's good to have a dual threat quarterback, because either you got a quarterback that can't throw or you got receivers that can't run or catch at a high level. So your offense is simplified when you're at the younger age group. So they kind of started out there, which also I think was very helpful for them in terms of developing their leadership skills and developing their knowledge of the game. But you always know that there's a chance you can convert if you want. If you're athletic enough, you have to have, some God-given ability to be able to play the receiver position. And he had it, and he was a dual threat quarterback in high school, so he'd run with the ball quite a bit. He just hadn't played receiver. And as you know, every position, whether it's offensive line, running back, quarterback, receiver, DB, linebacker, whatever, there's very specific skills, like in terms of your footwork and your technique, that you need to develop to be able to play at a high level. So, a year and a half wasn't a lot of time for him to develop from college to the NFL. But man, he is such a student of the game. He had great coaches at Rice. We worked, watched every single game in practice together and worked on routes just online. And then when I got him for a few weeks, I got to work with him leading up to the combine and leading up to the pro day. And that helped a little bit. But I think, he still hasn't reached the ceiling. He's still developing as a wide receiver, but he's gotten better and better every single week. And he's making plays, making catches in the game and getting on the field and having some fun.
It is awesome. Great to see him out there. It's so exciting that the Commanders are good and that he's part of it, and they have a quarterback like Jaden Daniels. I started and finished my career there and had never seen such an erosion of a fan base in my life. So I'm glad to hear that they're excited again. They should be. So now you got one that's on the field, but you have one who's usually on the field who's not, in Christian. I don't know what came out over the weekend. I got to be honest with you, Ed, I've never heard of bilateral Achilles tendonitis. I do know there are some guys that go to Germany for different treatments. What can you tell us about what's been going on with Christian and how involved you've been or haven't been now that he's kind of one of the older guys?
Yeah, well, obviously Christian had a great year last year. Team came up a little short, but they went to the Super Bowl. He was Offensive Player of the Year, had a great year. And then, trained all summer, and he got married this summer. I don't know if you knew that. That was pretty cool. It was an incredible wedding. And then, right after the wedding, he didn't even take a honeymoon. He went right to training. And so, you hear all these medical terms. Look, if you have tendonitis, you have tendonitis. I don't know. I think of it like tennis elbow. You've seen tennis players get it, and then they can't play tennis for a while until it heals up. He just has that in his Achilles, and really just start it with one, and then like that kind of creeps into your calf, and then you start overcompensating, then you start feeling it in the other one. But it's just tendonitis. So I wouldn't get overly complicated, which means it's very, very sore. So I don't know if you've ever had an Achilles injury, but if you have, it's pretty hard to run when you have an Achilles injury. And so I think the team decided, hey, let's be smart with this. Let's look at our schedule. It's the beginning of the season. We don't need to put you out there at 70%. Let's get you 100% and hopefully be ready to go. So they put him on IR. And so it's not up to him. Those are, by the way, doctor's decision. He doesn't decide. He's like, I'll go if you want me to go. And they watch him run and work out, and they're like, you know what, this doesn't make sense. You're injured. Let's wait till this thing settles down. And the only treatment is rest. which is so frustrating. And I promise you, I will say this, Ross, there is no player, I feel comfortable saying this, there's no player on the planet in any sport that pays as much money to have people help take care of his body than Christian does. Anybody in any sport on the planet. So, obviously he's frustrated that he can't play. He loves his teammates. Football is his life. He wants to be out on the field, win, lose, or draw. He wants to be out there battling with his brothers, and he's not doing it. So sure, that's pretty frustrating. And but also he's such a perfectionist. Like he wants everybody's opinion. Is there anyone on the planet that can help me get back on the field quicker? And so when the prescription was you just have to rest and not do anything, he sought out other opinions. Yeah, he went and said, look, who else has anything going on anywhere in the world that can help me get back on the field quicker? And one of the problems is you have a million. Ross, my phone blew up. Hey, here's stuff you can eat to help with your tendonitis. Here's treatments you can get. Here's a place you can go. And if my phone blew up, I know his phone was blown up. So he has to decipher between all the information he's getting, which is what he did, right? He trusts his 49ers training staff, but when the prescription is to rest, he's going to go out and get other professional opinions from people around the world. And then most of it he doesn't follow up on. He's like, I got to pick between all the stuff I'm being told, pick what to do, what not to do. So he's a real student of the game, and he's a real, health nut in terms of trying to get his body ready to go. And so it's been torturous for him to have to sit on the sideline and not play because, his whole life has been, kind of built around this game that he loves so much.
It's funny because I've had conversations about him with other people and just the intensity and everything he puts into it. And he strikes me as a guy that the just rest, that's tough. Like, let me rehab something. Let me do something to try to help it or make it get better. That's hard to tell someone like that rest is really the only thing. And I wonder, I don't know anything, right? But from what you said about no honeymoon and all that, I don't know if there's overusage or just because he trains so hard. Is there any chance that because he trains so hard,
Yeah,
and because they keep going to Super Bowls and playoffs, that maybe it just like it's a wear and tear thing? I guess that's what tendonitis is, right?
Tendonitis is an overtraining injury, meaning you're training too hard or doing too much, and it turns into tendonitis. And if I would say Christian has a weakness, it's that he, sometimes has to protect himself from himself in terms of training too much and doing too much. And so we've already had that discussion, next off season, we need to reevaluate what you're doing. But it's hard, you just came off offensive player of the year, record setting historic performance, and you've been doing what you've been doing, right? But maybe going all the way to the Super Bowl, losing another month of football because of the extra games and having that burning desire to get back to a Super Bowl and win it, right? You know how that motivates you in the off season. Maybe, you do have to dial it back, but it's so hard to tell him to dial it back. I'm sure his coaches will echo the same sentiment. It's like, even in practice, you don't need every rep, but he never wants to sacrifice a rep, never wants to come out of a game. He trains as hard as anyone I've ever known. And so there's a limit though. Sometimes you gotta, be smart, and, it worked last year, but this year, he maybe overdid it a little bit in the offseason and came in and got injured, but you never really know. Maybe it would have happened anyway, but that's part of his process. He'll go back and reevaluate everything. Knowing how he is, he'll reevaluate every day of the offseason from last year and try to figure out, how do I change it so I show up ready to go this year? But again, he's had so much success doing what he's been doing. It's hard for him to deviate from that, but he'll have a good plan. He'll be back when he's back, and hopefully playing at 100% and going out there and helping his team win.
I was going to ask you, Ed, what's it like having two in the NFL again for you and Lisa? But I guess with Christian being on IR, there probably hasn't been as much of an urgency to make sure someone's at every Niners game. Because I remember when it was Christian and Max, that you guys were like two ships passing in the night, right? You always wanted to have at least one at each of your son's games. Just talk through that for the listeners, because Christian will be back on the field sooner rather than later. So what's the McCaffrey mindset and game plan of watching the boys play?
Well, Ross, we also have my oldest son, Max, who coaches with the Dolphins. So he's out there. He knows the guys playing get a little bit of priority over the coach because he's not on the field. But we try to get out to a couple Dolphins games every year as well. Look, Lisa and I would much rather have to fly in different directions, East Coast, West Coast, and not watch games together than have one of our kids miss a game. So we'd much rather have that problem, which is one that we thought we might have last year, Ross. I think we got to 33 games total. 33 NFL games. It's pretty, or no, not NFL games, 33 games total. But we would always go out and see the Rice game. And then we would fly out to see the 49er game, throw in a couple Thursday, Monday night games with Washington. We went to a couple Broncos games because we still live here in Colorado. And we saw a lot of football. Then you jump into the playoffs, et cetera. It was so much fun. It was unbelievable. And, we have a lot of frequent flyer miles to show for it. And it was a blast. And we got to watch all the games together. That's what's so cool, because Luke would play on a Saturday or another day of the week, and Christian was playing on Sundays, and the Dolphins, a lot of times they have home and away games that differ. And then sometimes we'd see fly out and see 3 or 4 games in 1 week. So it was a whole lot of fun. This year, we thought we were going to probably have to depart and watch different games, because we try as hard as we can, Ross, but it's impossible to have one parent at every game for our kids that are playing, at least for all the home games. But this was going to be tough with 2 kids playing on the same day. But again, that would be a good problem to have right now.
That is so cool. And I love the way you guys do it. And I'm so glad you got the year that you had last year to go to see all of Luke's games, all of Christian's games, or at least sounds like most of them. That is awesome. Plus, you do other stuff. And you got your own businesses going, one of which is the mustard, which I love. I don't know, it's probably a couple years now. You sent me a whole case. I'm ready for another case. I go through it pretty quickly. I'm a big fan, all the different varieties. So 2-part, I guess. Part 1 is, what's the latest varieties of mustard that you have? And of course, not only for me, but for all the listeners, where's the place where they can order them online?
Yeah, McCaffreybrands.com. So
McCaffreybrands.com. Okay.
.com. But if you Googled my name, I'm sure, search my name, I'm sure the mustard would pop up there somewhere. But we just came out with a yellow mustard, which is kind of an American mustard made with yellow.
Like a standard yellow.
Yeah, it's standard yellow. So that just came out, but I don't have it right now because I gave them all away. They just hit shelves this week at King Supers in Colorado and City Markets. But if you're out of state, you can buy them at McCaffreybrands.com. But we've been selling mustard since 1998, Ross, back when the Denver Broncos were winning Super Bowls. We came out with our first one, Spicy Brown.
That's my favorite right there. That's my favorite. You sent me like a whole bunch of, that is my favorite mustard ever right there. The McCaffrey's Spicy Brown Mustard. Love that.
I think it's the best in the world. So thank you. And I've compared it to all the big brands. But yeah, do you consider yourself a foodie or just a food guy, Ross? Because I know.
Well, so I think foodie, when I think foodie, I think it's people that like cook on some level. I don't ever cook anything other than scrambled cheese eggs. I consume, but I take food very, very seriously. Like,
yes,
I will treat any food topic more seriously than a political conversation, a world event conversation, because I care about it a lot more, to be honest with you, than those other 2 things.
Well, I check out what you're eating at every tailgate and in every but yeah, this goes with everything. Hot dogs, hamburgers, brats especially. And then, you can make potato salad recipes with it. So many of my friends use it for different reasons. You could put it on salmon.
I put it on everything. So like my theory is, and I have no beef with yellow mustard, but I still think your spicy brown is better in every scenario. Like, people might say soft pretzel. I'll be like, no. I still want the spicy brown. Or, I'm like, they'll try to give me examples where they like regular yellow, and I'm fine with regular yellow. But like, I'll go to like Subway, and now they don't have to have spicy brown. They only have to have yellow in stock. And I'm like, what are you even doing? You guys are selling hoagies and sandwiches. You need deli mustard. You need spicy brown mustard. What are we even doing? It should be mandatory for any Subway. Does Christian do commercials for them? They need to have mandatory spicy brown mustard. They should sell your mustard.
I agree. So this is our pride and joy. That's what we started out with. And then over the years, we've created niche offerings as well. Like Chipotle is really popular out here in Colorado.
Ooh,
You might want to try this on your eggs. It gives a little bit of kick with the Chipotle peppers, which I think is really good. And it goes good on everything. If you want a little more heat, you can go with Chipotle. And then we also have a horseradish sauce. I don't know if you knew that, Ross, but the
no.
horseradish sauce, people really love it. There's not a lot of competition in that category. Not a lot of horseradish squeeze bottles out there,
Yeah,
but
you
you
know
can put
what?
it on any kind of red meat. I mix it for cocktail sauce with, shrimp cocktails, and it's got a little kick to it. Not too much. I like spicy food, but I don't like my eyes watering, like, mind
Right.
heat. So there's just enough kick, but not too much.
Yeah, I like a 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't need the 8, 9, or 10 for anything, for wings, for anything. I'm like a 6, something like that. Hey, check him out on social media. That way you can know everything he's up to at 87ed, edmccaffrey.com. So happy for you with Luke, and obviously wishing for the best for Christian. Really appreciate you coming on the show, Ed. Great to see you and talk with you as always.
Thank you, Ross. Talk soon, man. Thanks for having me.
Wow, Jack, I feel like Ed McCaffrey said more about Christian's injury than I was thinking. I was kind of expecting to be like, well, Ross, can't really talk about injuries. That was awesome about the amount of money he spends in Germany, and a better interviewer would have said, well, how much money does he spend? I'm like regretting that already, which is funny. I am never regretting the work I did via the guys at westshorehome.com/Ross. Here's the coolest things. Number one, listener owned business. This guy is one of you guys. His name's BJ Wurzen. I know him. I've actually become friends with him because the projects were done so well. They came out to the house last week. We're probably going to get more projects done. Here's the thing, though. You guys can go to westshorehome.com/Ross. The proof is in the pudding. See the before and after of the 2 bathrooms we did. See the before and after of our front door. There's a reason we're getting my office door done. It's because they do immaculate work, and you guys can get free installation with 48 months, 0% interest, plus an extra $500 off just by visiting westshorehome.com/Ross. As a reminder, even if you just get the free estimate over there, you are automatically entered to win the free Madden code at the end of this week. Smirnoff knows there's no I in football. Football is a we thing, an experience that is best enjoyed together with good drinks and good folks. Smirnoff's the world's #1 vodka and an official vodka partner of the NFL. And this year, Smirnoff is giving fans in select areas of the country a chance to win the ultimate game day experience, from tickets to sideline passes and much more. Just head to WeDoGameDays.com until November 15th to enter for your chance to win. Smirnoff, We Do Game Days. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff #21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age. No purchase necessary. 21 plus. Ends 11/15/24. See rules at website for participating areas and other important details. Sponsored by Diageo Americas Incorporated, New York, New York.
Tuck's Takes.
All right, Ross. Raiders wide receiver Davante Adams, he has officially requested a trade, and the team now does seem a bit open to moving him.
Oh, yeah, he's gone. He's gone. I don't know when this happened or what. Sounds like there's been rumors of this for a while, but he's as good as gone. Once it gets public like this, and once the team is having conversations about moving him, he's as good as gone. I didn't really get that sense when I was there for practice on Friday, but it sounds like this has been in the works, and Davante Adams is not going to be there anymore. I think they showed on Sunday that they can move the ball very effectively without him. He makes a lot of money, and this is essentially the last year of his contract. The next 2 years, it's like over $35 million base salary with no guaranteed money.
Someone who seems to not be going anywhere, the Seahawks, they signed 42-year-old Jason Peters for a 21st season in the NFL.
Well, I mean, I got to make this my Labatt take of the week, Jack. Presented by Labatt Blue Light, the pristine Canadian Pilsner. enjoy your beers together so you can live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. Exactly 20 years ago, I was starting for the Buffalo Bills while Jason Peters was on the practice squad. 20 years later, I've been retired for 16 years, and he's still playing in the NFL. First of all, I have no idea why he even still wants to play. I'm in awe of the fact that he even wants to. And then the fact that he's actually doing it, he's 42. I'm 45. I couldn't have done anything even remotely athletic or professional or anything 3 years ago. I have a tough time sometimes getting up in the morning after a big daddy soda night out. This guy's still playing in the NFL. Absolutely unbelievable what my former teammate is pulling off right now.
Got a couple.
And then the only other things I would mention, season-ending injuries. Jack, Steelers right guard James Daniels, done for the year. Panthers linebacker Shaq Thompson, done for the year. Not a season ender, by the way, for the Cowboys, but they did put DeMarcus Lawrence on IR. And there's some suspensions, Devon Miller from the Bills and Mike Hall from the Browns that I'll probably talk about even more tomorrow. Other than that, I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network on Samsung TV Plus, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. Love, 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 love. Yes, I love love. I love those of you that express your love by getting a loved one a story all about them from myfrontpagestory.com. Backofficescheduler.com, humanetnyc.com, Sporticulture, Pizza Boy Brewing.